The Shark Deck.
Hello, once again, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Amy Schumer warned you youngsters. She posted a series of throwback photos on Instagram. Yahoo describes the photos. In the first two shots, Amy appears radiant and youthful, dressed in a mini black and purple bandage dress at a red carpet event in 2012. The 42-year-old Amy Schumer added a more recent snapshot that shows her hooked up to an IV, wearing a hospital gown with disheveled hair and a worried expression. And she wrote, "Warning, 20-somethings, I look like this at your age. Swipe, life is coming for you." She shared the same thing in an Instagram story, this time the caption, "Girls in your 20s, guess what? I look like you too. Life is coming for you, B-words." Bill Burr spoke to the PSU Collegian and said early in his career, he wrote all of his jokes down, learning to free himself up on stage to be able to talk to the crowd. Burr said, "Stand-up is however you want to do it, whatever works. Maybe it's a hybrid." For him, stand-up was a no-brainer because I sucked at everything else. Even though I didn't have that good of a set, I just knew that I'd found what I was supposed to do, even though I wasn't good at it. Bill's advice to you comedians starting out, don't be too hard on yourselves. Don't judge yourself by the first 20, 30 times you do it. It's all about having the nerve to go up and doing it when they call your name. That's the only thing. Just walk when they call your name and hang on for dear life. What I try to do is be silly and present, make fun of myself, and just sort of goof around. He compared it to being a ball player, saying if you can go to your left, start going to your left and start shooting, and make sure your left is as good as your right. Bill has taken up the drums and says, I'm trying to apply what I learned as a comedian to the drums, where I freed myself up as a comedian. I'm now challenging myself to try to free myself up as a drummer. According to Bill, it's important for comedians to find an escape other than doing comedy. Bill says comedy is actually the opposite of other common scenes. The more of a life you have outside, the more you have to draw on, and also the happier you are. Maz Jobrani at the Punchline Philly tonight through the 14th. Maz said, when I first started stand-up, I took a class that encouraged us to talk about what made us different than the other students. I was the only Iranian-American comedian in the class, possibly in stand-up. I began talking about my experiences growing up Iranian in America. Eventually, I realized that many immigrants have the same experience. That's why I called my 2017 special Immigrant. I wanted to show that immigrants who come to this country love America and contribute greatly. I don't think my ethnicity defines me. If you see my show, you'll see that I often talk about many other topics. I take on social issues, political issues, and family. As someone who has traveled the world several times, I try to bring that perspective to the stage. I got to spend some time with Maz up in Montreal. It's a long time ago now, over a decade for sure. I really enjoyed him. He's a cool guy, very cool, big fan. Maz says, I love stand-up comedy because it allows me to go on stage anytime I want and talk about what's on my mind. I've been doing this a long time, and there's some nights when I'm tired. However, once I get on the stage, I feel alive again. You can be funny and make commentary on society or politics. It elevates your game at another level. That's my favorite kind of comedy, and I'm always proud of the art form when I see young comedians making statements. It doesn't mean you can't have a few jokes in there, but if you can be political too, that's a double whammy. Margaret Cho is touring with 3 VIPs, according to Us Weekly. The VIPs are very important pets. It's 3 cats and 1 dog. Margaret Cho also has a 4-room catio for her cats to lounge in. It's fully equipped with scratchers, toys, cat grass, water stations, catnip tea bar, and fluffy beds. Hari Kondabolu told the Greeley Tribune he first became interested in comedy after seeing Margaret Cho do stand-up. Ari said she was Korean American. I'd never seen anyone who wasn't black, white, or Latino doing comedy on TV. Seeing her doing comedy was kind of mind-blowing and opened up the possibility that anybody can do stand-up. She was talking about her parents and talking about immigrants and cultural things that I could kind of relate to. While we're from 2 different cultures, I felt really connected. Nicole Byer talked to Cosmo about life on the road. They were curious if she has any survival tips, and she said, vodka on the plane, vodka before the show. I'm kidding, but not really. Sleep is important. Once you've been to a bunch of different places, a lot of cities are just the same, so pick one fun thing to do if you have the time, but then make sure you get sleep. All right, what about plane etiquette? And Nicole Byer said, when people take off their shoes and their toes are out, yuck, and they're going to go to the bathroom in just socks, it's actually sick and unhinged. It's nasty. I think it's weird that people don't wipe down their seats. You're there for 4 hours. You don't want to clean it? It's like a hotel. I spray everything with Lysol because they don't get a chance to clean everything. The next time you get on a plane, wipe down your seat and look at the little thing. It's going to be dirty. They're nasty. I once found a piece of crap in a blanket. Planes are disgusting. Ugh. Frasier is back, baby. Paramount Plus today. Variety said Kelsey Grammer's Frasier reboot is more charming than expected. They write, in addition to changing the series' setting, a change of space also allows the new dynamic with the new characters to thrive. Centering the workplace in academia allows Frasier to succeed or fail among like-minded individuals. Despite the cast changes, Frasier, now in his 60s, has the same qualities of the man viewers first met in his 30s and last saw in his 50s. Overly concerned with money and appearances, Frasier's differences with his son Freddie parallel those he had with John Mahoney's Martin on the previous Frasier show. The Guardian gave new Frasier 4 out of 5. They wrote, Kelsey Grammer is as perfect as ever. According to this review, give the show a little beat. In the first episode, apparently, not really a spoiler, just like a vibe spoiler as I call it. The rest of the cast isn't quite there yet, says The Guardian, nor are they in the next couple episodes, but they're better. The jokes are subtler, the relationships are growing, actors are relaxing, confidence is growing. And then, suddenly, by the 4th episode, the chemistry, the ineffable magic, the ease, the unbottable perfect combination of them all is there. All right, so we got to get to episode 4. That's not too much to ask. Nice touch by the creators here. So the setup for the show is Frasier has moved back to Boston after the funeral of his father, Martin, who was played by John Mahoney in the previous Frasier. Frasier says in character, he was a hell of a guy, a tough act to follow. The new bar that they hang out at, it's called Mahoney's. And the episode is dedicated to John Mahoney. Nice job there. All right, if everything went to plan, Mark Maron probably published an episode this morning, and the guest is Arnold Schwarzenegger. We'll check that out. Paste Magazine talked about the Dublin Fringe and some of the shows that they liked. One of them, The Scratcher, starring Kelly Shatter. It's a one-woman comedy about Nicole, who only recently came out as bisexual and is nervous about her new girlfriend's birthday party. Luckily, she has a vice that can chip away at that growing anxiety: scratch cards. Shatter's expert physicality, rubbing away vigorously at a scratch card while magic miking all over the stage or changing characters with a mere posture adjustment, absolutely made the show. They also liked Stars with Hannah Mamalis. And they wrote, it's no surprise that Hannah won the Best Performer Award at the Dublin Fringe. From the moment she emerged on stage as her Italian-American neck brace-wearing alter ego to her hunched-over portrayal of a murderous old cleaning lady, Mamalis made it clear she could inhabit just about any zany character she dreamed up. There's a line here, I don't even know how to clean it up. It has the line, bark, bark, I'm uncle, and the next word, whatever you think it is, it's more disgusting than that. Bark, bark, I'm uncle, bleep. Sorry, there's no way to clean that one up. David O'Doherty's show is called Tiny Piano Man, and Paste tells us internet scammers and trolls are decidedly horrible, but at least the one who impersonated comedian David O'Doherty gave him the name for his latest show, Tiny Piano Man. Whether joking about latecomers or trying to lasso a glass of water he'd trapped in his mic cord, O'Doherty showed himself to be just as gifted as an improviser as the jazz musicians who slept on his parents' couch. For the matinee crowd, his best moments were unscripted. That's interesting. Rachel Cayley is one of Vulture's 25 comedians you should know. Rachel told Vulture, a story from my childhood that I think explains why I'm a comedian is 9/11. I'm a born and raised New Yorker, and I saw 9/11 happen from my school, which was a little less than a mile away. I think seeing something so absurd happen immediately makes your imagination run wild. If that happened, what else can happen? I always saw people shooting movies on the street, and I've been told that my initial reaction to 2 planes flying in a building was that I thought it was a movie set, and I was so excited for the movie to come out because I saw them filming it, and I thought I'd be in it. I also think it forever changed my brain chemistry to basically be as mentally ill as possible, so my neuroses have inevitably led me to write jokes about my life for better or worse. A more palatable story might be that my dad put me in front of the TV to watch Seinfeld for 4 hours a day starting at age 6. Rachel, what have you learned about your own joke writing process that you didn't know when you started? Rachel said, a couple years ago, ideas would just come to me and I'd run with them. I think it was more manic a couple years ago and also doing improv many nights a week, so joke writing came to me more easily when I had alt comedy and unmanaged panic disorder, adrenaline coursing through my body. I found recently it's harder for me to surprise myself and have to force myself to sit down to write. When I'm in New York, I do a monthly show at Union Hall where I write a new half hour. If I'm remembering correctly, Corman Christopher used to do shows where he basically did all new material, and I was like, that's very smart and good. I've been doing that show for about 2 years, and I'll force myself to write a new 30 minutes every time, but only end up keeping about 2 or 3 minutes from each show that I think is good. Tell us about your worst show. Okay. She's 10 years old. I started doing stand-up when I was 8 or 9 at the Gotham Comedy Club. They had a program called Kids N Comedy, which is both the worst and best thing to ever happen to me. I was the only girl in the troupe for years, and we did a Sunday brunch show every month to an audience of 150 people, mostly parents from Westchester or Jersey, who I think wanted their prepubescent sons to talk about their marriages on stage. And that is your comedy news for today. You can follow this show for free on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or YouTube or wherever you get your shows. But wherever you get your shows, tell a friend. That's where you get your show, and maybe they'll enjoy the show too. See you tomorrow.